In a quiet village, a boy named Lloyd tries to catch a rabbit but fails miserably every single time. Instead of winning, he gets smacked around by the rabbit, showing how hilariously useless he is. His friend arrives to help, this boy named Shoma. At first glance, he looks like a girl, but no, Shoma is the real deal, someone Lloyd even sees as a brother. After taking down the demonic rabbit together, they walk back toward the village. On the way, Lloyd, curious about the outside world, asks Shoma what it's like since he travels so often. Shoma smiles and gives him a book of stories so he can learn about life beyond the village. Time passes. Lloyd grows older, and one day he enters a small cabin where he meets Maria Sami, a witch who grants wishes in exchange for sacrifices. She offers him the chance to wish for anything, but Lloyd only asks for a place to stay. Insulted, Maria fumes, until he reveals he's from the village of Kunlun. She's stunned. And when he produces a crystal orb that projects the mage Alka, Maria's own master, everything changes. Alka orders Maria to shelter Lloyd. She hates her master but can't refuse, so she grudgingly gives Lloyd a room. That same night, Alka appears again, warning Maria to never approach Lloyd because he belongs to her, before leaving a curse behind. The next morning, Lloyd cooks breakfast, and shocker, it's delicious. Maria is floored. Then Lloyd casually shows her his handkerchief that can clean anything. Maria freezes. That's the legendary rune she nearly broke herself learning, and this clueless kid uses it for laundry. And to make her feel worse, Lloyd adds, the only other skill he has is summoning rain. Maria's pride? Crushed. Later, Lloyd finally heads into the city, wide-eyed at everything around him. But he overhears whispers. Hundreds are here for the night exam, and spies plan to unleash monsters during the trial. Just then, a hooded blonde girl bumps into a knight who mocks her as the Cursed Belt Princess. Hurt, she slips into an alley. That's when a massive cricket monster lunges at her. She fights back desperately, but it's hopeless. The beast raises its claw for the killing blow when, suddenly, Lloyd drops from above and smashes it with a single punch. The girl, shaken but grateful, introduces herself as Selin. Later at home, Celine changes clothes, her heart racing after meeting Lloyd. She even puts on makeup, daring to dream he'll see her differently next time. But the mirror crushes her hope. Still, she doesn't realize it yet. Her fate is already tied to Lloyd's. Meanwhile, Lloyd returns to Maria with money left over from errands, handing her a gift that leaves her blushing. And as the episode closes, while Lloyd unknowingly wins hearts, knights in the shadows whisper about monsters being released during the exam. As the exam began, the officials were busy evaluating every participant. A brown-haired girl named Colin turned to her companion Murtofin, the pale albino beside her, and asked if it was really safe to bring in people from the outskirts. He replied bluntly, for the sake of the kingdom, they had no choice. Not only were they at odds with neighboring counties, but they also lacked princesses and were already desperate. Colin still had her doubts, because among the crowd she had spotted Rio Flaving, a one-armed mercenary with several arrest warrants, a woman famous for being untrustworthy. But Murtofin, who knew his way around deals, assured her that as long as there was a good bargain, Rio's presence wouldn't be a problem. Colin's eyes also landed on that rude knight from earlier. His name was Alan Toyin Lidico. Yeah, finally got it right. And he was already bickering with the blonde girl, Selin. Murtofin explained that Alan had joined their troops immediately after being offered, though of course they had to tempt him first with an officer's position. Meanwhile, Rio scanned the other applicants for the trial, but inside she was trembling with fear. The aura around Lloyd was so overwhelming that she thought he would devour her alive, when in truth, Lloyd was just trying to be kind. He barely managed to apologize before Celine suddenly appeared, slamming Rio against a wall. The blonde, drooling over Lloyd, declared boldly that he was hers forever. Lloyd just breathes, and she's already obsessed. But being a jealous woman, Celine demanded to know who this so-called homewrecker was that dared to get close to her man. Once she learned they had just met, she cooled down instantly and went back to chatting with Lloyd like nothing happened. Rio thought this was bizarre, but she quickly realized if a simple peasant and a noble could get close, that could mean a lot of gold. Just then, a soldier announced the start of the combat trials. The albino approached the one-armed mercenary and asked if she was ready. Of course she was. She needed to clear her name at all costs. But one thing worried her. Who the hell was that blonde boy? The albino admitted he was just as scared. He had no idea who Lloyd was, but he was certain this kid could wipe them all out with a single smack. Soon, Rio's group was called up for the trial. Murtofin wanted to keep his eyes on Lloyd to see what he could do, but Colin dragged him away for other business. Meanwhile, Maria sat calmly sipping her coffee, only to be joined by her master Alka, who casually poured herself one too. They discussed Lloyd, convinced he had surely passed the test, but they couldn't be more wrong. The next morning, Colin formally welcomed all the new recruits, while Rio and Celine searched everywhere for Lloyd. Rio suspected the albino had something to do with Lloyd's absence, but when she saw his confused face, she realized he was just as clueless. As Colin gave her speech, paranoia spread. Murtofan had lost a potential powerhouse, Rio had lost her chance for profit, it, and Celine had lost her man. Then Colin dropped a bomb. She revealed that the missing princess was none other than Maria Sammy and promised a massive reward to whoever could find her. Meanwhile, we see Lloyd walking away sadly because he didn't make it into the academy. Wait, what? How could the most broken powerhouse of them all fail to get in? Wandering through the city, Lloyd suddenly runs into another giant cricket monster and smacks it down in a single hit. Right after, he spots a job posting and heads off to apply. He ends up at a restaurant, only to be attacked by a huge muscular man ready to crush him. This beast of a man is Crown Molydemu, a former officer of the Royal Guard. But Lloyd, being broken beyond reason, dodges effortlessly and even apologizes. The muscle man pauses, shocked at Lloyd's insane reflexes. Lloyd calmly explains he's only here for the job, but Crown mistakes him for some professional underworld killer. To prove he's no thug, Lloyd offers to cook. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the albino and the girls review Lloyd's exam, and they are stunned. His entire paper is covered in scribbles. Colin shows up, sees the mess, and smacks her partner, but then realizes those weren't random scribbles. They were ancient runes, which means if Lloyd can write these, he can also control magic in ways nobody else can. Overpowered doesn't even begin to cover it. Back with Lloyd, he cooks up a meal for Crown, 3-star Michelin quality, flawless. The muscle man still doesn't trust him, but after tasting it, he's blown away. Impressed, he introduces himself properly and hires Lloyd on the spot. Meanwhile, back at the academy, the short-tempered, brown-haired Colin complains she won't get to see Lloyd's full power. The blonde Celine promises no matter what, she will find the missing princess and demand Lloyd's admission as a reward. The dark-haired Rio quickly joins too, but only for money. Later, Lloyd returns to Maria and Alka with the bad news. He didn't make it into the academy. Both women are stunned. They were certain their boy would pass. But Lloyd doesn't plan to give up. He politely asks Maria to let him stay until he can take the exam again. Alka hates the idea, but she can't say no to her beloved man, so she agrees. Now, she also stays close, clinging to Lloyd, literally. The boy doesn't even try, and girls rain on him from every direction. Jealousy levels? Off the charts. Maria then asks her master if she herself could end the threat looming over the kingdom. Alka, sensing her serious tone, asks how bad the situation is. Maria explains, the king of Asami is itching for war, not because he wants to, but because someone is controlling him. And they plan to use the upcoming national festival as the excuse, with foreign leaders gathered to launch war against Kyo. Maria is determined to stop it, but Alka shakes her head. People of Kunlun don't meddle in politics. Their role is only to handle the supernatural, dragons, demon kings, things humans cannot face. She reminds Maria, 5 years ago she begged her for help to control runes, and since then she has hunted the one truly responsible. But her master warns, don't rush blindly, for she has seen countless who tried and paid the price. Alka gave one last warning. If Maria ever tried to drag Lloyd into her mess, she would take him away forever. Then she mocked her, telling her to stop being lazy and fix her own problems if she really wanted to help her little sweetheart enter the academy. Furious, Maria snapped, because this wasn't something that could be fixed so easily. Before leaving, Alka cast a curse on her student, so bad luck would strike if she dared insult her again. Exhausted, Maria finally tossed her master's crystal orb into a well. The next day, Murdafan sat with Rio at Crom's restaurant, discussing their plan to find Lloyd and the missing princess. But he was baffled. The restaurant, once filthy and awful, was now spotless and packed with customers. Rio asked about the owner, and Murtofan explained he was once a royal escort in the army. Crom himself arrived with their meals, leaving them both stunned. The food looked divine. They devoured it in seconds, and when Murtofan asked how Crom cooked something so perfect, the man revealed he had hired a new chef. Rio scoffed, asking who would want to work with such a brute. Just then Lloyd appeared, carrying another tray. Both froze, jaws dropping. They had found him. Murtofan immediately threatened Crom, demanding to know how he had trapped Lloyd as his employee, and if he truly understood the boy's power. Crom admitted he was fully aware and terrified that one day Lloyd might crush him. Meanwhile, Lloyd stepped outside to burn the trash, but spotted Maria slipping into an alley. Hearing soldiers whisper about a fight there, he decided to follow. Elsewhere, Selene faced Alan Toyin Lidico, who was furious that her reckless behavior was staining the nobility's reputation. Wanting to preserve his rich boy privileges, he challenged her to a duel. Alan's attack was blindingly fast, leaving Selene reeling, until her cursed belt suddenly shielded her and disarmed him. The crowd gasped in shock, while Selene believed it was all thanks to her beloved Lloyd. And right on cue, Lloyd arrived, leaving Selene blushing hard. She rushed to his side all sweet and clingy, just as the others arrived, stunned to see him there. Selin proudly declared that her man would fight Alan for her honor. Mertofen encouraged it, wanting to see Lloyd's true power. Even Colin, suspicious at first, joined in. Alan, the arrogant narcissist, mistook it all as an audience, eager to watch his noble skills. He accepted the duel, even asking Lloyd to assist him. Lloyd tried to decline, insisting he was too weak, but was eventually pushed into agreeing. Rio grew worried. What if Lloyd accidentally sent Alan straight to the afterlife? But Mertofen assured her, as long as nobody hit the face, it would be fine. Alan then insisted Lloyd throw the first punch, even demanding he strike his face directly. Rio and Mertofen thought it was over. Alan was done for. Crom muttered that if nobody finished off that arrogant knight, it would be a waste. But just as Lloyd was about to land the fatal smack, a sudden whirlwind swept him away. Crom recognized it. This was Maria's magic. She pulled Lloyd out of the duel and scolded him for acting recklessly. Yet, as always, Lloyd's innocent charm melted her anger. Crom, who had followed, confirmed it was her spell. After sending Lloyd back to the restaurant, Maria and Crom caught up, and she explained the dire problem with the king. Someone was controlling him to provoke war against Joe during the national festival. She needed Crom's help. Later that evening, Mertofen was training relentlessly when Colin brought him coffee, asking why he never rested. He revealed the tragic truth. His village had lived in poverty, and when the goo invaded, everything was taken. Since then, he swore never to let it happen again. Elsewhere, Salii was with Rio, who mocked her because her serious relationship with Lloyd was falling apart. Flustered, Celine denied it, then proposed they visit Maria for clues about the missing princess. Together, they knocked on her door, but were shocked when Lloyd himself answered. Inside, Selin spiraled, realizing her man was living with another woman. Rio, ever sharp, guessed that Celine's feelings came from Lloyd, freeing her from her curse. Lloyd treated them politely, but Maria nearly fainted seeing unexpected visitors, especially Selin glaring with jealousy. Lloyd explained the girls wanted help. Rio handed Maria a photo, asking if she knew the missing princess. Maria grew nervous, insisting she knew nothing, but Rio had never said the word princess. The witch's nerves worsened. Rio analyzed her carefully, noticing her uncanny resemblance. Selin, tears in her eyes, suddenly blurted out an emotional question. Seeing her pain, Maria realized her choice to abandon her responsibilities had only hurt her people. She decided to confess her true identity. But Selin wasn't asking about that. She just wanted to know if her cake hadn't been stolen. Rio, on the other hand, was thrilled. They had found the princess at last. Maria tried to deny it, but the truth was obvious. She offered in exchange information about the princess in return for knowledge about the royal family and the kingdom. Rio, clever as always, refused unless Maria revealed her true self. At that moment, Lloyd stepped in, proudly declaring he had figured it out too. But of course, he was wrong. He believed Maria was the protector of the kingdom. Maria rolled with it, claiming that title. Lloyd's eyes lit up. He begged her to let him help save the kingdom.